Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Derek and Craig. We're going to talk a little bit about digging and playing in the dirt today, and the ocean and sand and stuff like that. Just want to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day, and be safe out there today. Maybe you're going to get out to Tecton or go to a picnic or what have you. Uh, Enjoy yourselves, but be safe about it. And Craig, I'm still recovering from Marine Corps birthday yesterday. Never drink with Marines, Craig. Never drink with Marines. They'll hurt you. We had a good old time over at the post yesterday. We had actually a couple Floral City come out, and I think a couple people from the American Legion and stuff. We just had birthday cake sandwiches, that stuff. A lot of good music and friends. So it was nice. I got in. It actually ended about 4 o'clock yesterday, so I had a little time to recover, get a good night's sleep and everything. We're back at it again today. We're actually heading over there about 10, 11 o'clock this morning, and of course we have the National Cemetery about, I don't know, a mile and a half from our post right there, so we'll get a lot of the riders and just everybody that's going down there for the festivities down there. Our commander's actually speaking for. He's a VIP speaking at the cemetery and everything. They do a big to do down there, and just recognizing our fallen veterans and stuff like that. So yeah, big plans for today. But I was going to try to get out detecting maybe tomorrow, Craig. It's been beautiful weather down here in Florida, and it's nice and cool out and stuff, but. I kind of wanted to tell you guys, I tried to post this thing up on Hardcore Metal Detecting Facebook page about and it's kind of a little bit late for them, but they're probably still around. They call it a puss caterpillar, and I guess it's one of the most poisonous caterpillar in the U.S. And a lady, they're prevalent here in Florida, but they haven't been a lot of them that I can remember seeing in the past years, but I guess they're back. And there was a post on a lady's Facebook page about 20 miles from me, and I guess she was leaning up against a wooden fence underneath some trees, and hit one of these things, Craig, or leaned her hand against it, her wrist against it, didn't realize it, and was reeling in pain. They had no idea what was going on or what had happened, and her husband, I guess, rushed her to the hospital or called EMS, and she said it was like she's been through childbirth and all this stuff and never had this kind of pain. It was the kind of pain you just pray to God it would stop, and morphine didn't even touch the pain. She said it was like somebody was drilling into her bones. So this thing, it won't kill you, but it might make you wish you were dead. But I was trying to put this post up there because I know a lot of the guys down here, like Mark Hoover and Michael Boyles and Mike Miller, all you guys, all these guys, even the New Age Goonies and stuff, they're out here hunting in these woods and stuff. If you see a brown little furry caterpillar, don't stay the heck away from it. They're pretty doggone vicious. And I've never been hit by one of these things, and I don't really want to be. We do have another kind of caterpillar down here. I call them oak worms, or oak worms is for the most part. They're like a white with yellow. It looks like fur, but it's spines on their back, and these things will just land on you. They come down like on a little cobweb thing or a silk thread out of the oak trees, and you can just be sitting there, land on your shoulder, your neck, your arms, or whatever, wherever they hit at. It'll itch like crazy, but it's not as vicious as this puss caterpillar. Look it up on online, guys. It's pretty little nasty little bugger, put it that way. But I try to post it up, and I don't know why it won't post. But at any rate, just be careful out there. But Craig, you said you were out yesterday. You didn't find too much, but at least you're getting out there. The weather up there is getting pretty doggone chilly.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad yesterday, but I think we're getting down to 21 tomorrow. Right now it's like 42, which is actually warm for this time of the morning. We had 23 the other day in the morning, but it warms up into the 50s, so that's not too bad. You can dress for it, but I'm seeing big storm coming up I think it's going to even parts of Tennessee is going to supposed to get. I think that's about the lowest they're going to get. Down south, I think the northwestern part of Tennessee is going to get it. I don't know if we're going to get any or not, but it's kind of going to go up and hit New York and Vermont and all that. I mean, it looks like a major snowstorm coming up that way.
Yeah, it's about the time of year for it, brother. I mean, that up in Pennsylvania, I grew up there. And, usually we were seeing snow at the end of October. So I mean, yep, we're going to be in the thick of it. You guys are going to be in a winter wonderland before too long.
Yeah, I watched the Stealth Diggers, and they're all getting down toward the end of the season, probably. And it's kind of funny. He just finally got real internet. He had dial-up, and it was taking. I think it was taking at least 8 hours to upload a movie.
Wow.
And so all day long, his internet was clogged up with uploads. He's been on a schedule, because he's got 4 Not Thursday videos going out a week, and then the one Thursday, the regular Stealth Digger. But yeah, he's doing pretty good. They've got quite a few Patreons, and now they're getting both channels are picking up pretty good ad revenue. And
good.
But they got this time of the year, November is I remember it used to be that we never got snow until around maybe Thanksgiving if we were lucky, and then God, I remember all through the early 2000s we didn't even see snow.
Yeah.
But the weather is definitely getting colder up here. There's a noticeable difference between last year and this year. So we didn't have the rain this year that we had last year. We had record historic rains, but we didn't have it. We had a fair amount of rain, but nothing like we had. We were like monsoons. I mean, we had one period where it ran every single day for 2 weeks, and sometimes half the day it would rain. But we had I think 2 days record. We had something like 8.4 inches in 2 days. That's a heck of a lot of rain.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I was looking around on general Facebook pages, and like Ventures and Here's History and Mark Hoover's site and stuff like that, and I bounced over to a couple, and I'm trying to find the name of them. Shoot, doggone it, Craig! I hate this getting old stuff, but I was just looking at some of the stuff these people were finding. It was really cool that they're putting together a little like show boxes, whatever you want to call them, to post their finds up or show their finds. There's several of them out there, and some of these guys found a lot of buttons and pieces of pendants and everything else, some eagle buttons. I'm trying to remember some of them. I think it was Paul Fournet found 2 nice eagle buttons. It looks like, or an eagle button and some kind of a South Carolina, I think it is, button. Just digging in dirt, just some of their sites and everything. And there was one lady I wanted to put her Facebook page up, and I just can't seem to find it. But she actually found some pretty cool stuff out there in a permission she had. It was bits and bobs, but they were probably Civil War era. And I can't seem to find her name. I had all this stuff programmed into my computer, but you know how that goes sometimes. It's nice that everybody's getting out, but now it's going to start snowing and everything, so it's going to hold up some. You probably can hit the woods. Don't let the woods go out. Stop you. As far as this winter, a lot of times the ground's a little softer or not froze up so bad. Craig does that all the time. Well, you do it up in Virginia all the time, Craig. I've seen you out there in 14-degree weather with snow on the ground and everything else, and you can still dig in the woods pretty good. How long does that last? And what, until January or so?
Oh, it'll go through until March probably.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm in the northern Shenandoah, which is, we're almost, the same area as DC, where I lived in Alexandria, a little bit, tiny bit more north and west, but we're really close to the mountains. I can look right out my back door, and the Allegheny Mountains just, go all the way across, as far as you can see. They're about maybe, 3 to 5 miles, maybe, from, my location. But it's kind of funny in the late afternoon when the sun starts going down. It goes behind the mountains, so we get like probably less light. It doesn't go down to the horizon. It just goes to the top of the mountains, and then it just goes black. But,
well, I know, like in Indiana and stuff like that, where I was, I lived up there for a while, man. I'll tell you what, it's like hitting concrete trying to dig anywhere up there in the wintertime. You need a hammer and a chisel to get through the ground. So you're kind of just, by, late December, January, you're pretty well screwed as far as any kind of fields or anything. I'm sure it's the same way in Ohio and stuff like that. And that moisture gets in there. It's like hitting a brick of ice trying to dig out and all everything.
It's not as much woods up here. There's a lot of grazing land, so there's like huge fields, all over the place, and it's quite different from down near the river, down in Alexandria along the Potomac. Kind of places I hunted was all woods. There was no open fields anywhere. It's just a lot of them were farms and cabins, colonial sites that were probably cleared at one time, but the woods takes over, anything pretty much.
Right.
But you don't even, I remember walking through those woods, and not even hearing anything. And when they bulldozed, there was, you could walk along, see arrowheads, and pipe stems, and just signals everywhere, iron, flat buttons, reals, and all kinds, it's just amazing, and some of the stuff was down, 2 feet in the ground, sometimes even 3 feet down.
Right.
Because I'd go up there and they'd bulldoze, and I'd see a big cut, and I'd think, there's probably nothing there, and I'd start walking through the cut, and I'd, turn the machine on, just swing, thinking, there's probably nothing here, and all of a sudden I'd start getting like banging signals, and stuff laying right on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But up here, it doesn't seem like the stuff goes as deep. The ground is a lot rockier up here. So I've had weird things where I dig an artifact under a fairly big rock. So I think over the years stuff has moved around, or maybe they plowed at one time. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This one site I got up the street that I got the cut real at, a couple Hibernias, a lot of buttons and stuff. The ground is so rocky up there. The guy that bought the property, I found his sewer, and then he wanted to pay me, and I said, how about just let me hunt? So he liked that deal better. But the ground, he wants to put a house in for him and his wife. He's a builder, actually, and but he couldn't. He wants to put a basement in, and he can't find a spot that doesn't have these huge outcroppings of rock, like limestone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking me about it, and I said, come down to my yard same way. I got rock outcroppings sticking out of the ground. Gotta be careful when I mow the lawn. Sometimes.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the rocks I've actually dug up. And I had a problem with the groundhogs around. We have these groundhogs in the house next door. They've like, bunkers underneath their house. It's unbelievable. And the guy shot 2 of them last year with the crossbow, and he wanted to use a gun. And he said, "Oh no, you can't use the gun." So he asked the police, "How about a crossbow?" And they go, "That'll work." So, but he told me his son brought down a high powered CO2 BB gun. That some of these things they're as good as a rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable how accurate these guys are with those things. But his son had one. He has 22 acres down in Warrenton, so he has a little shooting range set up and everything on his property. And so he said he got one himself, so he might bring it down and try to knock him out. But we haven't really seen him, and they were going under my shed, hibernating. And so I started taking all these big rocks and put them around the edge of the shed so he couldn't get in. So I've been watching, and they haven't gotten in there.
Right.
So, but I've been seeing a lot of birds migrating, in the last couple of weeks. You see flocks going over and stuff, and
I got these owls, Craig, over here. This is like the owls, the big old horned owls, whatever they are down here. I've seen them a couple of times. They look as big as turkeys, for goodness sake, but I know they're not quite that big. But I have about 5 or 6 of them out here tonight, just talking back and forth. It's kind of neat out where I live at. It's about 12 miles from town, and we get all kinds of wildlife too, and just hearing the critters at night and seeing them and everything when they come by through the yard and stuff. I gotta enjoy that. But yeah, it's getting into that season.
It's kind of like that up here, even though I live on Main Street, we got big yards. I got 8/10 of an acre,
right?
And probably 2 blocks away is a major creek that runs kind of parallel to the town, and there's probably more more animals down there. There's like a little bit of woods along that creek and stuff, but it's there's patches of woods here and there, but it's a lot different. There's a lot of cedar trees, and a lot of times these woods seem to be so much thicker than they were down in Northern Virginia area. It's just it's hard to even navigate through the woods. The trees are like shorter, but they're thicker, and just more branches and stuff. It got a lot of pine trees, cedars, just different kinds of trees like that. The ground is rocky everywhere. It's
right.
It's all limestone. The good thing is it's not mineralized at all. It's pretty neutral.
Yeah. It just even it doesn't seem to matter to me where I have to dig at. I mean, I've traveled a lot and hunted, in Tennessee and Virginia and Pennsylvania, Indiana. Kind of bounced around even into other countries, and some of the situations you get into, the digging tools you need. It's almost like to make your job easier. I can still remember digging up there in just outside of, I guess it was outside of Nashville, with Bill and Tom there. Up there, it's old Civil War. I guess it was where they were hiding up in the mountains or up in the hills, and they were firing on the Yankees down in the bottom when they were walking up going up this road bed, and it was in the middle of a field. You couldn't really see; it was all grass covered still. But man, I tell you what, you're trying to dig into that stuff. I was using a miner's pick almost, trying to bust through that to get the. They had a lot of drop 69 calibers and stuff like that in 3-ringers and stuff. And it was kind of neat, you're digging these things up and you pull out this bullet, and it was a 3-ringer or whatever because it was flattened, but it was flattened in the shape of a bullet, and you could still see the lines of the bullet and everything in this roadbed. But you almost needed it took you 10 minutes to dig a doggone hole, Craig, but it was worth it just to find the Civil War relics. But I couldn't imagine doing it all the time. But you got off the sides of it, it was fine, but that was the only place I found in that field that hadn't been pounded to death, and that was the reason why. But you go through there and you dig a Civil War bullet, and then the next one's a pull tab, from the 70s or something like that. Then all of a sudden you find a wheat penny at about, I don't know, 2 foot from the bullet, the Civil War bullet. And it's like everything sunk to a certain level in that roadbed. But it was just, you never know what you're going to dig up, so you end up pretty much digging everything. And it didn't seem, I was talking to Bill the one time, he said, they've taken out several different detectors in there, and they did well with all of them, really. A lot of your targets, at least where I hunt at, it seems to be like, 6-7 inches down, Craig? Is that about average for you two up there? The Civil War relics, or do you get deeper than that even? I mean, I can get pretty doggone deep, but on average.
In my yard, I've dug as shallow as 5 inches, for a bullet. But I've dug some at about a foot. It just seems like the ground is, the rocky ground. Even in the soil, there's little tiny stones, the different sizes. So I think the artifacts have a harder time getting deeper in the ground that way. But I've actually, gotten a deep signal, and there's like a hole between the rocks, and the bullet, went down between the rocks and, into a hole between them.
Right.
So some of those are kind of difficult to get out, try to, you don't want to scrape too hard to try to, scrape the bullet. But I remember, taking people out years ago, like, 30-some years ago. There was people in the Springfield Club that never found bullets before. They wanted to find Civil War bullets, and we had permission on this guy's farm called Mr. Pearson, and his family had lived on that farm since I think the 1840s, and he didn't like the Park Service or the EPA because they kept putting restrictions on him, and right across the railroad tracks behind his property was the whole battlefield.
Right.
And you could go across the tracks, and you could walk like just on the edge. They had the signs all up, and we just used to walk the edge and find bullets and stuff. And then in his field, there was, he had like 50 acres, and we'd come down there, with a bunch of guys, and they'd go, "Oh my God, look, there's already 10 people here," and I said, "It's like this all the time," and but they'd get out there and they start digging bullets, and they go, "Man, all these bullets are fired. I want to get a drop," and I go, "Well, this is a battlefield. It's not a camp. The pretty much all the bullets, are fired.
Right.
And you get a variety of different bullets. You get round balls. You get Gardners, which were the 2 ringers that the Confederates shot, and then the 3 ringers. There was another place where we used to hunt. It was right across from the airport. They actually developed it, but I probably dug, probably 1,000 bullets out of that one field. It was just unbelievable how much. There was like a lot of canister shot. We called them Pac-Man bullets. They were like little round balls, but they had like a little chip taken out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they were just in that particular area. It was near Deep Creek, where the Yankees had flanked and seen a gap in the lines, and it was almost a disaster. And then I guess somebody saw them, and then Jackson moved a whole brigade up there, and they just canistered them as they came up. And
jeez,
it was like there was 2 gunman placements at the top of the hill, and I remember when we first got up there, we're looking around. There was that stuff and around this one house site, but then there was 2 ridges, and so I was telling my friend, "Let's go over that second ridge. That's where the Confederate gun emplacements were." And he goes, "How do you know that?" And I said, "I saw it on the map." And we walked up there, and the first signal, I dug a perfect friction primer. I think it's the only one I got that had the little wire still on it. but there was friction primers everywhere. And he goes, "Oh, you're right,"
Yeah.
And I think, and I got two block eye buttons up on that Confederate infantry buttons on that one little area. But he dug. My friend Mike dug. I think it was 2 shells out of that field. And I didn't get. I got a lot of big pieces of shells, but I never dug a hole in there. But I remember he had brought a backpack, and he put both shells in the backpack. He said I had to carry one. I said if I have to carry it all the way, a mile, then it's going to be mine.
Yeah.
This guy was, he was huge. He weighed about 300 pounds, and so he put both projectiles in his backpack, and he was going across the fence over into the other property where we had the cars, and all of a sudden you heard this rip, and one of the shells started ripping through the pack. He got all upset.
That's when a 5-6 pound shell feels like it weighs 900 pounds by the time you get back to the car.
Well, these were 20 or 30 pounds.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, that'd be like just miserable trying to carry that.
Mostly cannonballs were like 12 pounds and up. At that period of the war. But
and there's so much of this stuff too. I mean, it still is. I mean, some of you newcomers to the hobby and stuff like that don't think that there's just that one spot has Civil War bullets and everything. I mean, the battles. I mean, bullets were flying. I mean, thousands and thousands of bullets. These battles went on for days, whatever it was, Craig. I mean, sometimes weeks. And you think about how many projectiles, how many clothing got ripped, and buttons fell off. Even when they were marching or in the camps, their camp, they had to get there somehow, and they dropped stuff, and stuff bounced off wagons, and there were skirmishes places. I mean, it's a war zone, but there's a lot of stuff dropped. But
we've been in areas of battlefields where you dig bullets all in a line. They're all drops, and behind it, it's all fire bullets, from like the Yankees, and then you run into bullets, and it was a battle line, and the guys are there shooting, and they dropped, bullets that weren't fired, right, probably, in their haste to load the gun, they would drop.
Oh, yeah, drop them, bullets. Freaking out, I'm sure.
They were in a panic, probably, it's pretty tense.
Well, that's all this history that we saved too. I mean, you have skirmish lines and all that.
Say, well, how come all these bullets are all in a line? And I go, it's a battle line. They were all here firing.
Yeah.
And they go, really? And I go, well, I mean, doesn't it make sense?
Yeah.
That,
I think we take it for granted sometimes. Sometimes when we're talking, even on the radio here, we've taken stuff kind of for granted because we've done it for so many years. So we kind of try to let the newer people in the hobby know things weren't not nice. I mean, it was a very bad time, but it's saving the history of it, where you're finding that you can find skirmish lines and hut sites and just how they lived, how they survived through there.
We first started, when I started hunting and we started going down south, we started going to battlefields at first because we didn't really know where the camps were. They're not on maps. You have to kind of go in an area and find them. Certain areas. But down there, it was if you could get near the battlefield, you could find bullets. But you didn't really find a lot of buttons and stuff. It was just mostly bullets and frag parts, artillery shells and things like that. But the camps were where the buttons and the plates and coins were. You dig a fair amount of bullets, but you would dig tons of buttons and rivets and grommets. Just
J hooks and everything else. I mean, that's why it's so important to keep all the stuff. If you don't know what it is, it doesn't look like much, but you might find out the one guy. I remember that one guy was talking to you or me at CWPPO. It's been a while for that. That I think it was 2017 or something like that. But he found this. Well, if you keep on finding these wire things and they they're kind of bent and everything. I think it was J hooks, and he didn't realize. I think he threw some of them away. It's like you just if you don't know, you don't know. But I mean, that's why I always tell you keep the stuff, until you know exactly what it is.
Civil War stuff. The main metals that you find are brass and lead. You don't find you find silver coins every once in a while, but as the war went on, you don't find as many coins.
And I think the iron stuff is good too, Craig.
I think around maybe mid to late 1863, the Union Army started giving the soldiers greenbacks. That was the first dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and the soldiers didn't really like the greenbacks much, but then you don't find coins in the late camps much, because they just didn't have as many. They were basically using greenbacks by then. But people used to say, God, you dig more fatty Indian heads than you do regular Indian heads. And I said, that's because the soldiers were paid with those coins. They had Flying Eagle cents, and they had the fatty Indian heads. They had half dimes, 3-cent pieces, Seat at Liberty, dimes. You don't find hardly any quarters or half dollars much, in a lot of those sites.
Well, that's a lot of money, but I mean, you think about, I don't even know what. I always went by egg prices and bacon prices, Craig. I mean, I think it was 1902 or something like that. Bacon was like 9 cents a pound or something like that. So you figure back in, probably about 3 or 4 cents a pound during the Civil War. So I mean, it bought you a lot, it was stuff. If you had $1 in your pocket, you're probably considered pretty rich. You know what I mean, or $100, whatever. So
well, it's like in Alexandria and stuff. Some of the camps. I've never found one, but I know I've got friends that found $1 gold pieces and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly $1 gold pieces. I haven't seen too many bigger coins. I've seen one $2.50 gold piece. My friend Steve dug a $1 gold piece in the woods where I dug the SNY belt buckle. I think it was 1852. But I dug probably three. I think I dug 3 or 4 half dimes in those woods. Three 3-cent pieces and SNY belt buckle and all kinds of stuff. So but I was kind of miffed that I didn't get the gold coin because that's something I'd always wanted. But
I mean, they're out there. It's just that there was one fellow. I think it was at the digging in Virginia event a couple of years ago. He was digging and he found, I think it was 2 or 3 gold, $20 gold pieces and a couple silver dollars or something like that. I mean, it's not common, but man, it must have been it was a hell of a rush for him. I was excited for him. You just to find one of those at an event. I mean, there was an article, I think Larry put it out. It's on Gainesville Metal Detecting Club's Facebook page, and he was talking about the DIV and some of the other hunts. And they cost. It is costly to go to them, but as a beginner in the hobby or somebody with just you don't have very much experience, it's a great place to go to meet a lot of people and learn a lot of stuff. But it is costly, hotels and food and everything else. But the people you meet there, I mean, everyone I've been to, and I know Craig feels the same way about it. We've always met a bunch of great people, and the information, the camaraderie, whatever, is a lot of fun. You don't necessarily go there. These are sites that have probably been hit pretty hard in the past. The people that are throwing it don't even, it's kind of assumed that they've been hit anyways. I mean, there's a lot of relic hunters around, especially in Virginia and stuff like that. But you go there, and it takes. I mean, not everybody finds stuff. I mean, it just depends. Number one, how lucky you are getting your coil over it, and then the rest of it comes down to, really experience. I don't suggest like Culpeper. I mean, it's a tough place to hunt. It's a mineralized ground and everything, and there's only a couple VLF detectors that can really handle that kind of environment, and that's what Larry was talking about on his he made a big post, but he was saying you can use I say you can use VLFs if you have the right one, if you can deal with highly mineralized soil, but a lot of them are using pulse induction detectors, and that's another realm that I'm not really familiar with. But
I saw a thread where some guys were going with equinoxes to the the DIV hunt, and there was, I guess, they had a mine lab representative there that was going to help the people out,
right.
Getting the most out of the machine in that kind of ground. But
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
But it's tough. I saw guys that hunted 10 hours and found maybe 2 buttons, 2 bullets, and maybe a couple other brass things. And
well, it takes people that know their machine. I mean, if the more you know your machine, whatever it is, the better chances you're going to have to find something. It shouldn't be about what you find anyways. I mean, everybody wants to go there to find relics that they're on their bucket list items. Like, me being in Florida, I don't have a chance to dig a breastplate very often, down here. I mean, they are down here. It's just, they're few and far between, if anything. But you get up there into Virginia or Tennessee or whatever, up the northeast, it'd be a dream find, so you have a chance to find something good.
There's a lot of people that, come because they've never found artifacts,
right.
like that before. And, I'm lucky. I'm from Virginia, which is the best state to find stuff like this.
I remember the one guy comes down off the hill, and he was on that bullet target range over at I can't remember where we were hunting as a DIV back in 15 or 16, and I was at. And, I remember this guy in the parking lot at the hotel. He goes, "Oh, man, you got to see this." And he has his little paper bag, and he comes over and he goes, "Look at all these bullets I dug." And I said, "Oh, you were on Bullet Hill?" He goes, "Yeah, man, there's all kinds of fired bullets up there." But I was happy to see him be happy, Craig, because he's never had a chance. He never dug one before. Whether it was dropped or fired didn't matter to him. He was so excited about it. And it kind of made me happy for him, you know what I mean? Because like you said, I like digging the drop bullets because they're so pristine and everything. But, it reminded me of what it was like the first time I started digging them. I didn't care if they were fired or not. I just wanted to find one. So, and the kids too, the younger people, like when we were at the CWPPO, Cody finding the large scent, his very first large scent, the first time he went out metal detecting at a hunt, that kind of thing, and it was just nice seeing the smile on his face. And it's like, oh, okay, he's got the bug now. He'll be detecting forever, So, but these hunts are great for. You meet so many of these guys and gals on the in person that you talk to on the Facebook pages and the forums and all that. You could put names to faces, and it's scary how much in common we all have as far as relic hunting and metal detecting, coin shooting, and they're all different levels of experience levels or what have you, and you learn from each other. That's why I like going, because I'll get hunting with Craig, and I get out there and hunt. I learn stuff from him. He learns stuff from me. We watch other people detect and talk with them, and you get more ideas and understand what you're finding too. A lot of these guys are like encyclopedias when it comes to Civil War stuff or colonial stuff. It's just a good time. And, if you can afford to go to one, I always tell people go to one. Whether it's DIV or CWPPO, or they have the digging, was it the one they just had? Oh, my God, my CRS is kicking in again. The one they just had up north, the Nokta, Pound the Ground. And some of them are seeded hunts, some of them aren't. It really doesn't matter. Everybody has a ball there, and there's always food and all that, and they usually have giveaways, and it's just a good group. When we have the Florida hunts down here, Florida Hunt 4, I'm going to try to go to this one. I think they're having one in February down here. I had to get with Greg Pompano and figure out where that one's going to be, try to get to that, or it's just nice to be able to meet up with everybody and talk with them and everything. So, but I guess Craig, we're already at 7:40. We already went past our half-hour point. Oh, shoot, it's hard to do
for us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. We say half an hour. It's going to be 45 minutes.
Well,
But
half an hour just seems to go by so quick,
yeah, but I see Artifact Digger on here and Gavin McGregor and Brandon from New York. He's dealing with he likes it up to 32 degrees up there, dusting snow right now on the ground. You can get hunting while you can, brother, because it's going to be snow
Yeah,
covered up that way.
I hear it's supposed to get pretty bad up there.
Oh yeah, I lived in Erie, PA. I was born up there, and I tell you what, I can remember times digging helping Dad dig out of the house. We got 6 foot snow drifts blowing against the door and everything else, and you go from one day and just overnight, that lake effect snow will pound the crap out of you. I think it was like 70 miles from Buffalo, so that kind of gives you an idea. We dealt with Lake Erie and everything, and I know people in Michigan and everything get that lake effect snow, and it's I don't know, I like that in the during Christmas time, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and everything. It's just a winter wonderland, I call it. But living there and driving through it, that's why I moved south, Craig. Didn't want to shovel any more doggone driveways. We had a 250-foot long driveway, and even with a snowblower or a plow, it was a pain in the butt to do. Dad would wake me up at like 4:30 in the morning because he had to leave for work, and that was my job. Get the driveway clean so he can get out and go to work. I don't miss it a bit. So
Yeah,
I like visiting.
I don't like snow myself. I'm not really a super cold weather guy, but gotten kind of used to it, And I tell you, the last few winters have been pretty vicious compared to previous last couple decades. So
What's funny?
It's definitely I'm definitely seeing a change in the weather up here. It seems like we're getting lower temperatures than we've seen my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
not
different.
a whole lot different down in Alexandria. I mean, it's a little bit, maybe a couple degrees warmer down there, but we're at a little bit higher elevation up here near the mountains. But
right.
This summer wasn't. I think the hottest we ever got was maybe 97, like 2 days. But we were getting, a lot of times in the summer it'd be like 60, 68 in the morning, and it would go up into the 80s in the afternoon. But it's not too bad.
Yeah, I kind of laugh now. I was talking to Bethany the other day, my daughter, and we were talking about when she was younger and stuff, and when I grew up, Dad wanted to do something, Mom and Dad needed you to do something, you did it, and that's the way a lot of us grew up. And whether it's getting in wood or mowing lawns or whatever, it was a family thing. You'd try to get everything done, cutting wood for the winter time, splitting it and everything up north, and we down here and had to. And this has been years ago. My father-in-law, we had to dig a new the leach bed for the septic line. So it was me and I don't know, a couple brother-in-laws, and the kids were out there, and we're digging away. And I'm taking a break, and my father-in-law was real good at supervising because he was getting up there in age, anyways. So we took a little break, and we called Bethany over and gave her a shovel and said, keep on digging right through there. And a couple of the other my brother-in-laws put my nieces and nephews to work, and they all started not just whining, being whiners. I'm like, what are you guys whining about? We want to know what we did to get on restriction. I said, what do you mean restriction? I said, we've got to do all this hard work and we're getting blisters on our hands. And I just had to laugh because it's just like the way the times have changed. There still are a lot of farm boys and girls out there or whatever, worker, that get out there and work. But, we just, all the adults started laughing. What do you mean restriction? This is just getting stuff done as a family. So, yeah. Shoot, Greg, I don't know. Time's changing a little bit, but I don't be afraid of hard work.
It's like around here is it's totally the opposite of being in the city. We got a lot of cattle and
right.
It's mostly grazing farms, but we do have some people growing stuff. But it's just we got mountains all over the place. And it's just it's just like. I can look out the back. It's like you can see forever.
Mm-hmm.
In the city, you don't have that feeling. It's like claustrophobic. You don't even realize it. Over the years, how you're kind of closed in and you got all this noise.
Yeah,
Last
I'm
time I
not.
went down to
Oh,
Alexandria, I hadn't been down there in a year, and man, I couldn't believe the noise. It was like, just ambient sound in the air all over
yeah.
the whole area. It's like you got beltways running around the airplane, several airports in that area, and it's just constant noise. It's just you don't even, over the years I just got kind of used to it. You just don't even hear it, but then when you're away from it, you come back, you go, oh my God,
Yeah,
traffic,
I don't mind
traffic.
visiting. That's the thing. I don't mind visiting. I've been to every major city in the U.S. at one time or another over the last 20 years because I drove truck and everything and been there and spent time in these cities. And I don't mind visiting, Craig, but there is no way I'm living there. I don't have the right mental mental state
Well,
to deal with that. No.
I live right across from D.C.
Yeah, well,
and
yeah.
people tell me, oh, you go to D.C. I go, no. I said I went to, I went to the university. I went to George Washington University, and I'd go over there. And, up until about the mid '80s, we used to go over there to go to concerts. And I remember we used to go to rock concerts, and it'd be like $10 to $17 to go to a concert.
Right.
How much it costs now. I mean, God, it's just unbelievable the cost nowadays.
I like the entertainment, the food, just all that. Every town you go to, whether it's Chicago or Pittsburgh or New York City or whatever. When I went to spent some time over by the Apollo Theater over there when I was driving truck, I had a big Videotron trailer, and they were doing those. Bet TV was doing their street parties or whatever over there. It's been, oh God, I bet 10 years ago. I'm showing my age now, but we'd parked that thing back there behind at the school behind the Apollo Theater, and they were doing their, they had LL Cool J's and Snoop Dogg and all them people in there, and me and Pauline checked it out and everything. Then we just said, you know what, we're going to go down here and see what really goes on, and we stopped by a local bar there, a couple blocks away, and had a really good time. People were real friendly and everything. And they said, well, you got to try the food right down the street here. It's that soul food restaurant. And I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a really famous one. So we went in there and had dinner. And you know what? I found out a long time ago, a lot of these big towns and stuff, I never really had a problem. Me and Pauline used to go everywhere, and we always were treated, real good, and never had any real issues at all. I guess if you go looking for trouble, you find it. But if you're out there just to check out the scenery and be a tourist, so to speak, it's nice to visit different towns. We never really had a problem. I always enjoyed it. Even when we came up to see you, Craig, I told you, man, I love your house and I love your property and stuff, but you couldn't pay me to live here because it was just like traffic, every double, triple parked and everything else. It was crazy for us, that big old dually coming in there and people just looking at me like, okay, who's this damn redneck coming into Alexandria? It's big old diesel dually coming through their neighborhood. And a couple of times I didn't think I was going to be able to make it up your street. I was glad when you moved. I don't know how you put up with it.
Well, it got even, a few years later, they put in bike lanes along King Street, which is, 2-lane traffic. And hardly anybody uses those bike lanes because it's when you come up the hill, it's like going up Mount Everest.
Yeah, that hill is pretty wicked.
In our neighborhood, 3 blocks from our house there is the metro and the train station.
Yeah.
So, we've got, we're making a ton of money on the rent on that house. It's just, I can't believe it. I mean, I was sitting there going, oh my God, that house is like a cash cow, just on the rent.
Right. Right.
It's just not a place I want to live anymore. I couldn't wait to get out of there after my mom died. I looked at the taxes, and it's the city's run pretty much in Northern Virginia is all tax and spend. They're all in debt. Every single city.
I couldn't believe that you were paying. It was like what, $14,000 a year for taxes on that place, and it was or whatever. But
the first time I had to pay them was over $11,000, and I was
that just
shocked.
blows my mind that you guys had to pay that kind of money up there. When I'm down here in Florida paying $400 or $500 a year You know what I mean? It just
Well, we're
it
kind
doesn't
of
make a
lucky.
lot. It make it really hard to have a pursuit of happiness when you can't afford the happiness. You know what I mean? Paying just to keep your house, or whatever.
Well, we had a neighbor contact us and said that a friend of theirs that lived on the next block over was getting ready to lose their lease, and so my brother looked up. The guy was a colonel, and he works at the Pentagon, I guess, and so he could, he liked that neighborhood because of the schools, and then he could, just walk 3 or 4 blocks and get on the metro during bad weather and go to the Pentagon. But otherwise, he took his bike and went on the bike pass. It's about 5 miles from my house. That's where the Pentagon is. But they get subsidies from the government because they can't afford to even live in that area if they didn't.
Oh, I know. Yeah, my niece is like that, and she's with the Marine Corps. Been there 17 years now, and wherever she lived in Hawaii, and Hawaii blows my mind. The cost of living there, but they had to give them, the military people, had to cut them a break on it because they can't, you wouldn't be able to afford a off base home or something to live in. They're crazy. That's like California, everywhere over here, and I'm sure it's everywhere around the world. Really, in the UK or whatever, stuff is expensive. Depending on what part you live in.
Well, the cities just keep getting.
City. I mean,
worse and worse.
Mm-hmm. But the people are good. That's the thing. People are nice and everything. Every country, even Nicaragua and Managua when I was in there, and Rio Blanco and stuff. I never had really any problems at all out of anybody. They always treated me nice and friendly, and like I said, it depends on what part you're going into and who you're hanging out with, I'm sure. And always like that adventure of travel, going around to different places and seeing different things. But I guess we kind of run up here to 8 o'clock anyways, Craig, but I do have to get going. So got a big event over at the VFW today, Veterans Day and everything. If you guys get a chance to have picnic with your family or what have you, do it, be safe, or maybe get out metal detecting today, take the kids out metal detecting something, and enjoy yourselves. And we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Be sure to like and follow the show. So have a good day, everybody, and be safe.